Okay, let's take a look at the game board that I have set up here. So, you're familiar with this particular skirmish, and you'll understand the rules of the game board. So over here is where all of my models and or figures are going to spawn in from. And as you can tell right here, this is a terrain wall that's blocking this area off. So they're going to have to move through around this way, cross those areas to get to, at that point, here, which is actually the entryway to the hive right there. Alright, so let's explain a little bit about this scenario and how I got stuff set up so you get a better understanding. So the story behind it. This was a quiet, quaint little area, and people were disappearing and complaining about this strange evil appearance that has tainted their waters, and bizarre creatures that were murdering people and taking over the countryside basically. And my characters, I keep saying characters, they're not characters, they are my miniatures, at that point formed a small little militia here to be able to come in and deal with them. Now, as you look around the game board, and I'm going to explain some of these features and some of the stuff that I added in to my particular game for solo to make it more interesting. Now, one of the things I did not talk about in the previous video where I was showing you the basics of Heroscape is that they have what thing called glyphs. And let me get those glyphs to show you. You get these glyph cards, and they will give that particular model or that particular side bonuses to attack, defense, health, movement, so on and so forth. So some people like to use them, other people don't, by not using them. Some people may feel as if the glyphs will give one particular model or your opponent an unfair advantage. Me, I think they make things a little bit more interesting. But how do you introduce glyphs into the game and keep it fair for the AI and both your side at the same time? So it wouldn't be very fair if I was just to have all of my army to have the glyphs, the AI to have none, because then they would have an unfair advantage. So how I got around this was I put these little terrain pieces in here. You look here, there's these, looks like grain bags, there's this cart sitting here, you have a cottage here, and then if you notice throughout the game board, you'll see these little ruined wall areas. Now, during the movement phase, if the particular model stops adjacent to one of these and is not engaged in battle, they can roll a 20-sided die. And at that point, if they roll a 17 through a 20, they will have found a glyph, and I will randomly pick one out of the stack of cards and attach it to that model. That goes for both sides, my side as well as the AI, and that way it keeps the game pretty well balanced, so there's not an unfair advantage from one side to the next. The other thing you're going to notice about the game board is I have these orange dice. I got 1, 2, and then this one is marked 3 right here. The purpose of this is the AI side will all spawn. Let me get that dice out of there. It doesn't belong there. The AI side will spawn its creatures on these green areas. And as you can see, I got some trees right here growing up in the swamp area that are impassable areas as well. But once they're spawned, if their movement at that point is to patrol, they are going to at that point hit patrol marker 1, 2, and then 3. Of course, that is unless they become engaged with one of my models on the board. In between then, they will at that point return to the hive area, and then another movement command will be given. So that's how I do the patrol in my solo Heroscape game here. Now there is a couple of other things that I added into it that are not in this solo playbook that you can actually download to a PDF and read. They are completely separate. This is just my own spin on something I put into the game. Now what that is, if you notice here, you have 3 headstones. Anytime one of my models and or the AI's models walk onto this area, a 20-sider is rolled. And from there, let me look at my number here, just in 11 through 20, at that point, 3 Phantom Knights, which are these guys right here, will bam, will rise from the graves and attack anything that passes through that area. The only way to get rid of them is to kill them all. But when the last one is gone, at that point, the next figure to cross through the area has to roll the 20-sider again, and that encounter will start all over again. So that particular encounter is for the AI side and my side. It's just something I add into a choke point going through this area. If you notice, I got 2 bridges as well. One here, and then one here. Same thing, anytime one of my models or the AI's models enter a bridge area, 20-sider is rolled. A 1 through 9, a Dumatef guard, which is this fellow right here, at that point, will enter the game and will engage either the AI's models and or my models until it is destroyed, and then at that point that encounter will reset as well, and every time something comes through here the 20-sider's rolled. So it just adds some checks and balances. You're probably asking yourself, well, why do I do that? Well, the reason why I do that is the way I have this map set up. It's intended to move from here around the game board up here. And as you can notice, the enemy's patrol markers are through here and all that to add a little bit more into the game. I mean, it's just as simple to move my models here, cross over here, go straight to the hive and start attacking it to win the game. But, well, it's just not really that fun. So anyways, the main piece, the hive. The hive is actually an enemy, and it actually has a point value, and once it's destroyed, all the other creatures that it controls at that point are done, and I will win the game. That's how it worked out the last one. Don't know how it's going to work out with this one. But here is the unique thing about that. Every time a squad, and I'm going to show you the squad here and show you the cards and the way I have them set up and all that. Every time a squad is destroyed, a 20-sider is rolled. Now, a 19 through 20 rolled on a 20-sider. At that point, the hive will respawn that squad here again, bringing it back, which is kind of awful. Now, one thing I want to get out of the way too that some of you may be questioning is when I explained in the video and the way the rule set is set up, as far as the encounters go on the AI side, you want 25 to 50% more than what you have. The reason for that is so that there are more enemies on the game board to give you more options and more strategies to be able to, at that point, play the game. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Now, on top of me showing you the key points, obviously, if you've seen already, I got trees to block line of sight. I have height areas right here that's going to add into height advantage for attacking and defense and everything else. And then, of course, I have the water tiles. As I explained in the last video where I was explaining the basics of Heroscape, if your particular character moves, I keep saying character, sorry guys, your model moves from here into the water space like that, the movement stops. Their movement phase is over. Now, when they activate on their next turn, they can move their normal movement space in the water. But in order to get out of a water space, because this is roughly half the height of this, they have to count that as 1 and then 2 to step up there. So I just wanted to put that out there so you could actually see what the water space is and help you understand a little bit more. Moving on, let's take a look at the cards over here I got and what I have going on here. Now, one of the things that explained in the solo rules that I found is actually a really good idea, and if you play any type of miniature game solo and you have multiple squads, this is actually a pretty good idea. You just get yourself some sticky notes, a pair of scissors, cut them into strips. Now, the reason why I have this is this will show the squad leader like so. So when they're on the board, let me just put that on here so you can see what I'm talking about. They're going to be very easily identifiable. But here's the thing with the solo rules, because in the original rules, when you use a squad, there was nothing that said that you could not break a squad up into individual areas to be able to cover a larger area like this. If that's what the player wanted to do, the player could do that. But in the solo rules, it says that the squads, at the end of their movement phase, they all have to be adjacent to one another like so. So there's two reasons behind the post-it notes, and I'm going to explain this to you, and it's a very, very cool idea actually, and it's something that I am going to be adopting into my future miniature games and using a lot more. So A, it identifies the squad leader. B, if you have multiple squads, like you can see here, I got two of the same, you can at that point identify which one is your first squad and your second squad by simply taking a pencil or a marker and writing 1, 2 on there. So that will help with the turn markers as well. So, with that being said, I think it is now at this point that it's time to start drafting the armies, putting things into play, and getting this game underway. Alright, so how I did my last game was I always tried to have 5 cards in play. Anytime when a squad was completely destroyed, taken off the board, at that point on the next redrafting I'd roll a 20-sider on a 19 through 20 the hive would respawn that squad again. So, but there are some exceptions. Some of these cards in here, and I don't have, or do I? I think I do. Yes, these guys right here, even though they are part of the Marrow, what they call these right here, these water creatures, part of the card says that they are unable to be respawned by the hive. So once they're gone, they are gone, which adds into the cool part about Heroscape. We'll get into that as we play and I read it to you. You're going to understand a little bit more. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the enemy side first. And I have this table right here, which I'm going to work off of. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 5 particular cards. And I'm going to place these guys over here. And put them on the battle map, all adjacent to one another, and I got one of them. I think I want to put one of these squads, because I got double of these squads too. These guys out as well, until I have all of those green areas in the spawning area filled up. And who else should I put in there? I got 3 spots left. What the heck, we'll use the drones right here. That'll work. So, let me get a marker right here. So this way I can mark this. I'm right-handed, so I'm holding the camera with my here. Let me switch hands here. I'll write with my right hand. So I'm gonna mark this as number. I'm sorry about the shakiness, guys. I'm holding the camera, and this is not as easy as it might seem. Guess I should have done this beforehand. So, as you can see right there, I know it looks kind of funky, but that's number 1. And I have doubles of this particular squad as well, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put me in that right there, so I will know that that mark means this is number 1. And now that I got that done, I can now move on. So, I have 3 cards that are ready to go into play. Looking at this chart, I go down to 3 army cards, and then here are my numbers. So, let's see. First one we rolled a 2. In 1 through 7 place on army card 1. So I'm going to at that point move these dice over here. So turn marker 1 goes on card 1. I have an 8. 8 will be number 2. So number 2 will go on number 2. And then of course I have a 7, and number 3 turn marker will go on number 2. So you can see how that works out. That's how the AI is going to draft its first move, which is kind of cool, and you'd be surprised at how well it really works out. So now it comes to my turn, and I try to keep the cards even on the board. So I'm going to draft 3 guys to take out. I think the first thing I'm going to do is sound on my wave archers. So I'm going to have Severus, followed by the Aubrine archers, and then who else do I want to send out with them? I think I'm going to send out Solon, which is a wizard that also has the ability to heal. He's pretty cool. He's a good guy to have. Good guy to have. Now, how I rearrange mine is I just set my cards like so. Like this. And then after I have played them, I will tap the card like that, showing that it's been played, and move on from there. So that's how I keep track of my stuff. Okay, so the armies at this point, the cards have been pulled, the turn markers are in place. The next thing we want to do is initiative. Now, I strongly suggest that you use 2 different color 20-sider dice for this, because you can, I guess, use the same one, but it might get a little confusing, and this way it's much easier, because you're going to find with some of these abilities on these cards, you're going to be rolling a 20-sider a lot, and you may want 2 different colors to be able to designate your side from the AIs. So the blue is mine, I'm sorry, red is mine, the blue is the AIs. So the AI has rolled an 11, I have rolled a 17. I will go first. The first one will be, at that point, Severus. Looking at Severus, we have a move of 5. He has a range of 9, an attack of 3, a defense of 2, and he has double attack. When Severus attacks, he may attack 1 additional time, which is really nice. So I'm going to tap Severus's card out. Here is Severus right here. He has 5 movement points that he can use. Now, if you remember what I talked about with height advantage, if I was to move Severus just straight down here like this, he would suffer a point of damage for that, because it's taller than him. So I would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's his first movement. He's right here, and unfortunately I'm not close enough to any of these areas to be able to search to see if I can find some cool glyphs, but that's his turn. His first movement's over. There's no enemies to engage. There's nothing I can really do beyond that. So the number 1 for the AI right here is the Morrow Warriors. They have a move of 6, a range of 6, so they are a ranged, not a melee, an attack of 2, defense of 3. Instead of attacking with all of the Morrow Warriors one at a time, roll a 20-sided die for each Morrow Warrior in play. If you roll a 15 or higher, place a previously destroyed Morrow Warrior on the same level space adjacent to that Morrow Warrior. These things are pretty horrible because of that. Any Morrow Warrior on a water space needs a 10 or higher to water clone. You may only water clone after you move. So you could see there reason for all of the water in the Morrow. But they have a move of 6. Now I got to go to the movement command. Let's see what the movement command for the AI, how they want to at that point move them. I've rolled a 6, and a 6 is patrol. This is cool. I like the patrol. The patrol is fun. So the first point of patrol is here, number 1. So at that point, the Morrow Warriors are going to move out. One other thing I forgot to explain to you, I should have before I started, was in my scenario here, the green swamp tiles for these guys, for the Morrow only, can move across this like normal dry land. My models cannot, however. It's treated like water. But for the Morrows, they can. So I just wanted to get that out there. Now, as you can see, I put these trees in here to block movement. This is an impassable spot. But you can move through friendly areas. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say 4. Now he's hit the water tile. 5. His movement has stopped right there for this turn. All the rest of these are going to follow suit. They're squads, so they all have to be adjacent to one another when the movement ends for the solo rules. Just like that. So that turn is over. Alright. Going back to mine. So the next one I have in play here, let's pull this up, take a better look at it, are the Aubrian Archers. They have a move of 5, a range of 7, an attack of 2, a defense of 2. After you take a turn with Auburn Archers, roll the 20-sided die. If you roll a 16 or higher, you may take another turn with them. That's a pretty cool thing. So now you see why Team Severus up with these. Potentially, if I get these two together, focused on the same enemy, that's 4 ranged attacks. That can be pretty dang lethal. So they got a movement of 5. Once again, here are my archers, and let's move them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. Those are on the board. So now it's time to move to the AI's second here, which is the Morrow Drudge. Swamp Water Strength. When a Morrow... Oh, let me start with this first. They have a move of 5, a range of 5, so they're a ranged, not a melee, attack of 2, defense of 2. When a Morrow Drudge is on a swamp water space, add 1 to its attack and defense. Swamp Water Tunnel. If a Morrow Drudge ends its normal movement on a swamp water space, you may immediately place it on an empty, same level swamp water space within 5 spaces. If a Morrow Drudge is engaged when it starts to tunnel, it will take any leaving engagement attacks. Which is the reason why I explained the whole engagement thing to you, so you guys would understand that. Because you're going to find that repeated quite often on a lot of cards. But anyways, that's the number 2. Now, let's see what the movement command is for them. I've rolled a 7. Patrol. The Hive has commanded them to patrol the areas. Alright, so they have a move of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can't move into here because this is considered an occupied space. It's got a tree that can't move through it. So for their first turn, I'm just going to move all my other squads so they are all adjacent to one another. Right there. And that'll end their turn. Now, moving on to my third, which is Solon. So he's got dragon. Let's get this out of the way first. He has a move of 5, a range of 6, an attack of 4, and a defense of 3. Dragon Healing. Before moving, you may choose a wounded hero figure within 4 clear sight spaces of Solon. Roll a 20-sided die. If you roll a 15 or higher, remove 1 wound marker from the chosen hero's army card. Solon's dragon can use its dragon healing on Solon. So I can heal myself as well, which is really cool. Then he has Dragon Swoop. After moving and before attacking, you may choose any figure within 4 clear sight spaces of Solon. roll the 20-sided die. If you roll a 15 or higher, the chosen figure receives 1 wound. This is a pretty cool card. So the dragon gets an attack, a free attack, and then of course I get my ranged attack, which he's an archmage, and I can only imagine would be something in the lines of like a magic missile or something such as that. But they don't really specify that. Anyways, so let's move him his 5 spaces. Here's Solon. 1, 2, 3. And he really can't move anymore. He's just in line waiting to get down on the board with everybody else. So that's going to be the end of the turn. Alright, I'm going to go through the drafting process one more time. So you can see for solo how it's done, and I think what I'll do at that point is speed things up a little bit so we can maybe get a little bit more into the battle side of things. But anyways, so I put my cards into the turn that I wanted them, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another hero into the game here. And I think what I'm going to do is to send out the Tarn Viking Warriors. So they got a move of 4, a range of 1, which tells you they're melee, an attack of 3, and a defense of 4. They have Berserker Charge. After moving and before attacking, roll the 20-sided die. If you roll a 15 or higher, you may move all Tarn Viking Warriors again, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to put that in, and they're going to come to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I have open areas here which I can spawn another squad. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to spawn in the second squad of Morrow Warriors right here. And these guys will spawn right here, which is why you see why I say with a little post-it note to put a 1 or a symbol or something to be able to designate between your other squads, so you know who's who when you reference back to your card here. Alright, so they are on the board. So now I'm going to refer to this over here, and I have 4 army cards on the board. First is a 4, so 1 through 5 will designate number 1. So first one goes to number 1. That's going to stay the same. I'm going to add 1 more of my dice in here because now there are 4. An 11, 1 through 4, a 6 through 10 is the number 2. The second card goes second. 10, 4 right here, 6 through 10. So number 2, the Morrow Drudge, will be taking 2 turns, which would be a 3, and then the last one is an 18, going down here into this column, crossing over to the 18, number 4. So the fourth one will be on right there. Now I've already got mine placed in order of which I want to play them, and I think at this point it's time to roll initiative. As I said before, the red is mine, the blue is the AI's. 14, 9. They go first. So number 1 will be the Morrow Warriors, my first squad, and they are out on patrol. So they're going to move 6 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I know it's the way I explained, when you move your model, when it hits water, it stops. And then you count to go up and all that. But as the way that the rules read with the solo is that all squad members are supposed to end adjacent to one another. So, one of two ways I could go about doing this. I could say move them all up here because the 3 would stop and then put his movement right there and they would all be adjacent to one another. This guy's adjacent to him, he's adjacent to him, and he's adjacent to him. So, or if you want to run it a little bit quicker, you could just count your main squad leader and then move all your models up there so they are all adjacent to him. Me personally, I think I'll do it that way. It just seems to, if you ask me, make the battlefield a little bit more even for everybody. So, alright. Going to my first is Severus. He has a move of 5. I'm going to tap him. And here is Severus. And he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to stop right here. And I can do one of two things at this point. Now, I'm within clear line of sight to attack the Morrow Warriors. Or I could search for a glyph. I think the best thing to do for my comrades back here that are getting ready to come up into this area is to engage that enemy. So that's what I'm going to do. He has 9 spaces, so 1, 2, 3. And the bad thing is, this guy, 6 spaces, if you remember me explaining the solo rules, so any one of my models within a 6 spaces of a clear line of sight from any of the AI models, they will engage. So I can either take them out this turn or next turn, they're going to engage mine. So let's do that. Alright, time to break out the dice tray. So here's our dice tray, and let's see how this is going to pan out. Now they're on even level ground, so there's going to be no height advantage whatsoever. He's got Severus has an attack of 3. The Morrow Warriors have a defense of 3, so this is going to be a pretty well even matched fight here. So Severus' first attack is 1, and let's see how they defend. Nothing. So this first guy right here is the first blood, and he is taken off and returned to the cart. He is no longer in play. Now Severus gets another attack, which is a good thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Severus could technically hit him this if he wanted to. But for the solo rules, how I do this is the squad leader will be the last one to be taken out of the game, which is why I removed this guy, because I'm going to move them up like so, so they're still all adjacent to one another. Now, he's still within his range. If I had another model that had a shorter range than Severus, then at that point I would still move my models up. But if that if that particular model was out of range, I would not fire at it. It's kind of breaking the rules, and it's just really not that fair. Even when you play solo, you got to keep the rules pretty balanced and fair to keep it pretty interesting and complex, we'll say. Alright, So Severus' second attack. 2. That's going to be hard to beat. 1. They only have 1 life point here, so he's out of the game. I'll move him up close to there. And that was Severus' turn. Now it's over to the number 2 with the Morrow Drudge. The Morrow Drudge at this point are also on patrol, and they got a move of 5. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, where he's going to stop. Now, if I was to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He is in the line, Severus is in the line of sight, and now this squad is also going to engage. But I'm going to move all of my cards up here. So, I mean, all my models up here, so they are all adjacent to one another. Now, they really can't move any further than that, so that's going to be their turn. So now let me move to my second one, which are my Aubrian archers, and I'm going to tap that card out. They move 5, and they get an attack of 2. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put him there. Move this guy up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have this guy that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Really, I don't want to put him here. If I was to put him here, now I'm blocking the line of sight of this archer from hitting. And that would be 5 spaces. That's where he would end. He can't get through here because that's a... Well, hold on. Let me think about this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not going to work either. I think I'm just going to keep it the way it is. This guy's going to have to wait the next turn to be able to take a shot. Or there's something else he could do. Ta-da! He could target these guys right here. Now their range is 7. Oh, come on, camera, focus. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These two are well within his range and a clear line of sight as well. So I think maybe that's what I'm going to do. Let's get the battle underway. Alright. An attack of 2. Now, no height advantage, no nothing like that at this point. So, this guy is going to attack. Obviously, he's going to be shooting at this squad leader, but if he takes the hit, he'll go bye-bye. This guy will attack him, and then if he takes out the squad leader, that's it. They're done. And then this guy is going to attack this one over here. Okay. Ooh. They have a defense of 3, so they're going to have to roll pretty dang perfect for that hit. Ouch. He's out of the game. And let's go to next. Oh, look at that. Ouch. So that entire squad has been wiped right out. It is completely out of the game. But of course, there's always the possibility that the Hive could respawn it next drafting turn. So anyways, let's move on to this one right here, targeting the Morrow Drudge. No, wait a minute, those are the Morrow Drones. So the Morrow Drones, they have a move of 6, a range of 1, which means they're melee, an attack of 3, and a defense of 3. So, Hive Swarm. Before moving Morrow drones, roll the 20-sided die. If you roll 1 through 12, you may move and attack with up to 3 Morrow drones you control. If you roll 13 through 16, you may move and attack with up to 6 of them you control. And if you roll a 17 through 20, you may move and attack with up to 9 Morrow drones you control. So, depending on how many of these expansions you bought when they were out, which was kind of the allure of the expansions, you could, really have a pretty rude army. But anyways, I have one. That's what I have. And let's have the archer. 1. And they have a defense of 3. Oh, that's a miss. But, if you remember my card here, roll a 20-sider, and if you roll a 16 or higher, they get another turn. So let's roll our 20-sider right now. Nope, 10. That's the end of their turn. Their turn is over. So now, goes back to the third, which is this squad that is going to activate, and they are ranged, and they can now move. So he's going to move up 1. He will just fall in here, which his movement's going to stop because he's stepping off the swamp into the water. And there's really, he can't step up here because this is blocked by the house. The only other, and like I said, he can't move any further. It's stopped for this turn. So really this is going to be the only thing I can do at this point. Now this guy right here, they got a range of 5. So if I count to him, which I could tell you he's way out of range, but if we were to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this guy is actually 6 over here. If we look, he's 5, he's 6. So technically he's just out of range, but he's within range. But he has his line of sight blocked because right here, no. Can he target Severus? So if I count from him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nope, Severus is 6. He's just 1 out of his range. So right now, this guy is the only one within range for an attack from these 2. So they have an attack of 2, and this is the one with the swamp tunneling, but it doesn't make sense to even use that ability because there's no swamp tiles out by them. So we're just going to use the range attack, and it's going to be 2 against my Auburn archers. First attack. Ouch. My Auburn archers have a defense of 2, which means he's going to have to roll perfectly. And he didn't. So one of my first miniatures off the board. Alright. Well, that really stinks. Okay. So now that was 3. I'm going to go to my third, which is Solon, and he has a move of 5, a range of 6, an attack of 4, but he has some other special abilities as well. So let me see where I can get him in on the battlefield and see what I can do first. So let's move Solon up. He's here, so he can go 1, 2, 3, 4. He could move here, but he's going to block his line of sight and put himself... Oh, I'm sorry, guys. He could move here, but he's going to block his line of sight and put himself in the middle of this shooting gallery right here. So I think I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to stop him right there behind him. And this way I am covered. My line of sight is blocked from these guys behind a tree here, and right here, but leaves my archers open to still be able to fire at that right there. So I think that's going to conclude his turn right now at the moment. So now we're going to go over to number 4, which is going to be my second squad of Mara Warriors. And let's see what their movement command is. Roll the 20-sider here. An 8. Wow, they are out on patrol. Well, this ought to get interesting. This is actually going to get pretty bloody pretty fast. So they have a move of 6. So he can count these open spaces as dry area, just tomorrow's only. So now, whether that's it's not an official rule in the game, but for my scenario here, it's the way I set it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dang it. So he is there, and then I will just move the rest of these guys. And of course, like I said, there's a tree right here. That is an impassable area. As well as that. So I can always do one of those. Why not? They're all adjacent to one another. Now the good thing is they're heading to this destination and they were way out of the line of sight with these guys over here, so I don't have to worry about them this turn. But if they activate again, I'm going to have some problems on my hands. Alright, that was the end of round 2. Let's go back to round... Oop, I want to knock my table over there. Round 3. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is evaluate and look at the situation I have right now and who's going to be the best selection for what I got going on. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to take my last turn. This round isn't over yet. I have these guys to move yet. What am I thinking? This is the Tarn Viking Warriors. They have a move of 4, range of 1, attack of 3, defense of 3, and they have the Berserker Charge, which after they move, they roll a 20-sided, and if they roll a 15 or higher, they can move again. So, almost cheated myself. Let's take these guys out and get them out onto the battlefield. So here they are. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess he had a little bit too much ale to drink. 1, 2, 3. And he's kind of stuck right there. 15 or higher, they can move again. Let's see what we get. Oh, look at that, a 19. Alright. So 1, 2, 3. I think I'm going to stop him right there. 1, 2, 3. He's right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's right there. And 1, 2, 3. So let's roll a 20-sided die again and see if they get to move again. 10. Nope, their turn is over. So now it's time to, at this point, really sit down and evaluate what I got going on here and put my guys into the turn marker that's going to make the most amount of sense. So I think what I'm going to do is keep Severus as number 1. he's got the longest range double attack, so he can do a lot of damage. He'll be number 1. Number 2, I think I'm going to have Solon activate. Oh. And then what I'm going to have him do is search and see if he can find a glyph. If not, yeah, I'm going to have him search and see if he has a glyph. I don't want to put him in the middle of that firing barrage because he's pretty valuable for the fact that he can heal. And I kind of want to keep him at least for a while in the game before, you know, things get too bad, because things will get bad. Now, I think the next ones I'm going to send out are going to be these guys, the Berserkers. They have a high defense, and I can send them charging in to handle these dudes right here. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the last ones will be my Auburn Archers. My last one. Alright, so now it's time to do the turn markers for the other side. Let's get the sheet out again, and let's get that underway. So, rolled an 18. We got 4 army cards in play. So my first one will be on card 4. So putting these in order, 1, 2, 3, and 4, like so. Number 1. 19, which is going to be number 2, which will be number 4. Remember how I said it's probably going to get bloody with them guys? Now, one thing that I do in the normal Heroscape game, if you're playing with an opponent, you can only put 3 turn markers on 1 card. And I do use that rule for this. So if I roll and, you know, I got 4 cards here, and the 4th roll says, you know, put it on there, I re-roll, and we'll put that on another card. So no more than 3 turn markers per card. So we got 10. Let's go down here to 4. Number 2. So 3 will be number 2. Right there. 15. Which will be number 3. Which will be my 4th. Alright. So it is at this point all of the everything is in its place. We're down to initiative now. Let's roll. If you remember, blue is the AI, red is mine. I've rolled a 16, AI has rolled a 13. I will be starting this show. So Severus will be the first one. And of course he has just a huge range, and so he's just going to try shooting those off just like, you know, goldfish in a bowl. So let's go over here, get this rolling. So he gets 3 dice for attack. So his first attack, and as I said, I'm targeting the squad leader here, obviously. But what I will do is take this one out, move the next one up. The squad leader with the flag on it is always the last one to leave the battlefield. Well, don't have to worry about that one. His next attack, 1. Alright. So, They get a defense of 2. Whew, still worked out. This guy's gone. This guy moves up. Alright, so the number 1, which is going to be this patrol right here, and they can move 6 spaces. So 1, 2. So his movement's gonna stop right there this turn, followed by these guys all being adjacent to one another. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing in this area is within his line of sight to engage, which is good. And that's going to end their turn, which is going to go to my number 2, which is going to be Solon. Sorry, it's getting late. I've been playing Heroscape all day, and it is now going on, I think, almost 1 o'clock in the morning here. And if you're curious, I started at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So, Solon. Move a 5. So I think what I'm going to do is move Solon up here, and he's going to search this supply bag. Now, looking at my little notes I put in there, 17 through 20. Alright. Let's see how this goes. Oh, it flipped at the last moment. I was cheated. A 5. He doesn't find anything. And that will conclude his turn because nothing's in his range. And that'll move on to these Mara Warriors again for turn marker 2. So they have a move of 6, and they can pass through friendly occupied areas. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. I'll just set him on top of that patrol marker right there. The only thing about this is I won't be able to put all the rest of my models adjacent to one another. So one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But here's the problem. That guy walks down there, he stops because now he's in water. I am in a dilemma here. I think I may have found a way around this. So he could move here. He can move in here. 1, 2, 3. They'll be adjacent here. 1, 2. So there, they all have actually moved their spaces. His line of sight, they have a range of 6. Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So technically, Severus is within his line of sight. Even though he can't see anything over here, but he is technically blocked by this guy right here, by a friendly. blocking his line of sight. So this guy right here is blocking his line of sight from him. So that's going to conclude their turn until somebody gets killed and or moves. Alright, so that was number 2. So we went on to my number 3, which are the Viking Berserkers, which is really cool. So they're going to speed things up here because they're going to be the guys. They're going to go 1, 2, 3. He's going to splash down in the water right there, and they're going to start confronting these guys right here, that choke point. They're getting ready for some Viking justice. 2, 3, 4. Come on now. He's hiding behind that tree. 1, 2, 3. I'll move him up there. Then he's going to go 1, 2, right there. And now let's roll 15 or higher. They get to move again. No, 3. So that concludes their turn. Which now it goes to number 3 for them, which is these guys right here, which are already engaged into this battle. So he's just going to take a shot, obviously, at the Viking right here that plopped down in the water. So let's see how this works out. And he will also have line of sight of this Viking as well. This guy's going to have line of sight of him. This guy will have line of sight of him. And the only thing that stinks is this guy, even though it's not his turn, but he also has line of sight of him as well. Alright, so let's get things going. Attack of 2. Ouch. Good thing they got a defensive 4. Let's see how this works out. Oh, that wasn't good at all. First Viking off to Valhalla. Alright. This guy, so if I count the squares here, this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they got a range of 5. Technically, this Viking up here on the shore is within range, and he's going to target that one. Whew. Looks like Odin has smiled upon that Viking today. Alright, so that was a miss, and that concludes their turn for number 3. Which now goes to my number 4, which is my Auburn Archers. And I got 2 left. And how do I want to arrange these guys? They have a move of 5. Take them way out of the way where I want them to be. So I think the best thing, this guy is going to come over here and help with the fight. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. But the only problem is that it'll block Severus' line of sight. So he's going to move here, which obviously he has line of sight of all this. This archer, unfortunately, is blocked by the Viking right here that does not have line of sight. So that is something I really don't want to do. Oh, I forgot something to add in. They are technically, because they're in water, a lower level than my archers, which means the archers get height advantage. I forgot about that. Let me see. How do I want to do this? Oh, I think I know how I'm going to do this next turn. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this guy 1, 2 for this turn. Now these two are going to be focusing their fire right here. So he's going to aim for this squad leader right here and try to take that squad right off the, not off the board, but yeah, is it? Nope, still 2 of them left. So, and because the archer is on higher ground than his opponent, at that point he would get an extra attack die. So now he's going to get 3. So first attack, 2 points, and these guys have a defense of 2, which means they're going to have to roll perfectly, which he does not. So of course, like I said, the squad leader is always the last one to leave the board. This guy at that point comes off, and now it's time for this guy to target him, and hopefully we can wipe this squad right out. Let's see how this works. 1, well, 1's better than nothing. Oh, nope, he stood his ground. So that did not work out, but it is not over. Because roll a 20-sided die, and if you roll a 16 or higher, take another turn. So let's see how this is going to work out. Not good. Turn is concluded, and the turn is over, which is going to go to number 4, to these Morrow drones, which they are going to need to roll a 1 through 12 in order to activate. So let's do that first and see if these things even activate. 14. No. They have not activated yet. They are just kind of like lifeless mannequins standing there waiting for a command that hasn't come through yet. Alright, and that ends round 3. So I'm going to do one more round, and I think I might end it right there. So let's see how this goes. Let's see how it pans out. So first thing, obviously, I want to do is rearrange my cards for the situation I have going on right now, which is Severus. So I got a plan for him, which I'm going to show you how that's going to work out. And oddly enough, I'm going to put the Vikings as number 2. My third will be the Aubrian Archers, followed by Solon. And now it's time to get the reference sheet. For this right here. We got 4 cards in. Technically, I don't. I only have 3 cards in play. So it's at this point, with the hive, that if I roll a 19 or a 20, that a squad that has been removed from the board will respawn. So let's see what we got. A 15. New So technically with that particular card, it's a 13 or better for 1 figure. So I figured going to a 19 through 20 and bring an entire squad back. So I've really squeezed the number down pretty small to a small margin, and if you hit it, well, that's what happens. So anyways, just figured I'd get that out there. Some of you guys out there that may own that terrain piece might be saying, hey, wait a minute, that's not right. Well, I changed it for this particular scenario. Alright, so I have right now 3 army cards in play, and I can put another card into play. And I think it's time to pull the big bruiser out. Maybe it's time to bring him out. So, we're going to put this guy into play. Pretty fierce looking, huh? And he's gonna go right there. That's where he's going to spawn. And let's take a look at him. So he has a movement of 6, a range of 1, which tells you he's melee, an attack of 6, a defense of 5. Let me, come on, focus camera. There it goes. At any point while moving Torkoal Na, you may choose a small or medium figure that is adjacent on the same level and on the space where Torkoal Na may end his movement. At that point, oh sorry guys, roll the 20-sided die. If you roll a 1 through 7, the figure is safe and Torkoal Na's movement ends. If you roll an 8 through 20, the chosen figure receives 1 wound. If the wound destroys the figure, move Torkoal Na onto the space that figure occupied, and you may continue Torkoal Na's movement if the chosen figure is not destroyed. Torkoal Na's movement ends. Torkoal Na must be on a space where he can end movement each time he uses this power. So, if you understand what they're saying there, when he uses this power, he keeps continuously moving until he reaches a spot that he can stop. Which means if you look at the base here, he's a pretty big guy. I mean, he takes up 2 spaces. So he can keep moving, and as long as he's rolling, he can just keep stomping and killing your little squad members one by one by one by one until he finds an area to stop. It's a pretty brutal card, and that's what I mean about Heroscape. What I loved about it is the abilities are neat and clean. You read them, and I mean, there's just no like some other games where you have to refer back to the player's book or the glossary to figure out what that special term means and the specific rules behind it and all that. This game is cut and dry right there, right in front of you. It tells you what it does, and I love that about it. So anyways, we now have 4 army cards in play. Let's see where they go. First one, 15. So 4 right here, got a 15. So the first one will go to number 3. 1, 2, 3. Which are those guys again? The Mara Warriors. And something I forgot, because I really wanted to get the rolling the attack and the defense die down with these guys, is the fact that they can water clone and keep respawning in the water. So you will see that with this particular squad right here. And these guys are pretty rude when it comes to that. And it's one of the reasons why I really like them guys, is the fact that they can just keep respawning. Okay, 11. Let's go down to 4. We got 4 right here. Move it over to 11. And then at that point, it's placed on army card 3. So 2 will go to 3. 1, 2. Ouch. Let's go to 3rd, which is going to be a 14. So army, we got 4 army cards, which will be 3. So now this is maxed out for turn markers. If I roll again, I'm just going to re-roll till I get another card, because this particular squad will be going 3 times in a row, and it has maxed. So number 4, 18. And that should be pretty apparent who that is. Number 4 will be Torkoal Na, right there. All right. So everything's in place. I got my stuff in place. As I said before, red is mine, blue is the AI side. Boom! 13 and 11. I go first. Severus, who has a move of 5, and I'll show you what I got up my sleeve. So I'm going to move Severus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where he is at right now, everything within this line right here, anything that enters this path is going to get an arrow. Let me reapply that tree. There we go. Straighten that up a little bit. So you can see right here, there's a nice clean line right through here. So particularly this space, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now 9. So technically, he can target anything that comes through here all the way up to this tree. Is going to be slaughtered. So right now, he's out of the main corridor here of this slaughterhouse, basically. And I am now at the point where I can ambush these guys as they begin to advance and come through there, which is the reason why I did that. Now that's going to end his turn, but the cool thing is where he is at, technically he's adjacent to that cart. So even though I can't attack, I can search for some goodies. So let me see if there is anything. And a 17 through 20. Ooh, look right there, 17. So let's go over here to the glyph pile and see what Severus found. Now, I had already shuffled these up previously, so Belt of Giant Strength, attack +2. This figure may use this belt before rolling attack dice for a normal attack against an adjacent figure. Well, this one's not going to work for me because he's a ranged attack guy. So I'm going to put that on the bottom of the pile and draw the next. Giant Hunter Stone. +1 versus large or huge. So this figure rolls an additional die when attacking or defending against a large or huge figures. Keep this card handy as a reference for the Giant Hunter Stone treasure glyph. Well, that is pretty cool. So I get a +1 against giant or huge figures. There you go. So I'm going to attach this to Severus's card so he has his glyph. Now, before you use glyphs in a particular game or your scenario, I highly suggest you go through them first and really edit them, I'm going to say, and put them in there to what you want for that particular scenario. You can always just grab all the glyphs you have and throw them in a pile, but you may find out there may be some glyphs you may not want in your scenario, particularly if one of these guys get their hands on it. So anyways, enough said about that. That is overdone. I got that, and now we're going to move on to the Mario Warriors. So these guys right here, they have a move of 6. So about the only thing he can do is move up into the slaughter zone. He could actually go 1, 2, 3, 4. And this guy could go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And move him 1, 2, 3. Now all be adjacent to one another. Now, there's only one thing I didn't foresee out of this, and that is the fact that this guy now has a line of sight on Severus. So that may not be good, but we're going to see how this works out. Now, if you're wondering, with the marker dice here for the patrol, does this technically count as height advantage? No, it does not. So let's get this going underway. Obviously, these guys are going to be targeting my archers right there, whoever else is within their range, and their range is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everything right here, as you can see, is within their range. So even for Sullen, he's kind of in a bad spot right now. Everybody is. So let's get this going. They have an attack of 2. And my Auburn archers, I believe, have a defense of 2. Yep. Alright. 1. Whew! Look at that. Perfect defense. Okay. Now, this guy will have a line of sight through right to here to this Viking. So he's going to, at that point, target that Viking. And look at that. Odin smiles upon him again. Alright. This guy, nope, wrong squad. That was him. This guy right here is going to target Severus. 1. Severus has a defense of 2. Oh, Severus takes 1 point of damage. So now we come over here, and these aren't tasty treats. These are wound markers. He's taken a point, and all cards, if you look at them, will give you their life points. Severus has 4. Well, now he has 3 points left. Oh boy. So that's their first turn. That was, yeah. Let me see. I don't think I can. Will his line? No. He can take another. Now that I'm looking at it, I'll have to count the spaces, but I believe he is going to have a line of sight on this Viking as well. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Yep. He's got a line of sight on this Viking right here. This guy right here. Oh boy. So let's. And look at that. Viking luck right there. Odin's smiling on him. Alright. That concludes their number 1. Goes over to my number 2, which I'm going to tap the Viking Berserkers and send those guys over there to have a party. A raiding party, that is. So 1, and his movement will stop. He's going to go 1, 2, 3. His movement will stop because he's in the water. 1, 2. So let's see if they get to go again. 15 or higher. We're in business. Oh, look at that. Look at that. A 19. The Berserker charge is on. 1. He's just going to attack this guy right here. 1, 2, 3. technically he can attack him as well, but he's going to get another defense die because he's in higher ground than him. But, well, let's see. We'll attack, and at the end of my attack, if they have room to move, I will roll the 20-sider again and see if they get a chance to move again, or the turn's over. So, let's start this way. This Viking right here is going to attack this guy right here. The Vikings have an attack of 3, 2, and this guy has a defense of 2. Ooh. 1. Oh, well, that squad is completely off the board. That squad is gone. Right there. So now, this guy is going to attack him. He's got a 1. Now, they have a defense of 3, but because they're on higher ground, they get an extra defense die. And he gets 1, so he was lucky. But he's going to get another attack from him. Oh, he's going to have to roll perfectly. I mean, absolutely perfectly in order to beat that. Nope. So I will take him out of the game. And, oops, sorry about the finger there, folks. And that's it. Now, my Berserker here could move up here. So I'm going to roll and see if he gets another movement. He doesn't. 7. Their turn has ended. So that was my number 2, which worked out really well. I love these guys for that fact that they can do that. Okay, so number 2. This right here. And if you remember this special ability right here, they're on water. All you got to do is roll a 10 or higher to respawn that figure. So let's see what they get. An 11. So all that hard work for nothing, because this guy is just going to water clone right next to him. Now, because of that, the squad leader does not get a chance to attack this turn. That counts as his attack turn to respawn him. These two, however, do. So he's going to attack him, which he will get height advantage. He has line of sight of him. So let's get this underway. Now, the Morrow Warriors, they have an attack of 2, but he has height advantage, so he gets an attack of 3 this turn. Two, and my Vikings have a defense of 4. And he only rolled 1. So this Viking is over. He's done. Off to Valhalla. Okay, so this guy actually, what the heck am I doing? Knocking the trees over. This guy can attack him, and this guy could attack him. So he's going to have 2 attacks coming his way, but no height advantage, so it's going to drop their attack down to 2. So first attack, 1. Defense 1. Second attack 1, followed by defense of 2. There we go. So he lives to fight another day. Now it goes to my third, which is right here, the Albran Archers. Well, let's take a look at what we have going on here. they have a pretty good shooting gallery because he's got a clear line of sight to this guy right here. And this guy can move one space over here, and he's got a clear line of sight to him and him. So let's get this underway, shall we? They got an attack of 2. So they're on level ground because, well, this guy does not. Technically, he will have height advantage against him right there. So I'm going to go for that attack first. So that attack first will be 3 attack die. Let's see how this goes. 2, and their defense is a 3. No defense. So this guy right here, out of the game until he respawns. Now he can attack him, or actually him. Maybe I'll just target him just to make it easy instead of moving the figures around. But he's on level ground, so he only gets 2. 1 attack, and then 2 defense. So that is a bust right there. Just an absolute bust. So now 15 or higher on a 20-sider, they can take another turn. Look at that right there, 15. Alright. So I think what my archer is going to do is move 1 spot over this way, because now that's right in his line of sight, plus height advantage. Two, they have a defense of 3. 1, he's out of the game. Now, this guy right here can target him right there. But he's only going to get 2 because he doesn't have height advantage. Do you see where the terrain comes in with that whole entire height advantage thing? I mean, it really does. 3 really does help. 1. So that was that turn. Let's see, maybe we can get another turn. Just keep this thing going again. 15 or better. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Look, 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 look. Where did it go? There it is. 15 again. Alrighty. So they get to attack even again. Yeah, let's just keep targeting him down, trying to knock him out. So I'm going to target that guy right there. No good. And he's going to target him for 1. Ah, bust. Let me roll that 20-sider again. Maybe we'll get lucky one more time. 8. Nope. Luck ran out, and that is the end of their turn. So now it goes back to the Morrow Warriors right here. Well, it's going to be very hard for this guy right here to water clone, considering he is engaged in combat with that Viking right there. But this guy can. So let's roll 14. So 1 comes back and respawns. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's not in water. Roll a 20-sider. In 15 or higher. He rolled a 14. So no luck this turn. Close but no cigar. and no respawn. So that just leaves one option. That's for him to attack him. That's the only thing he can really do. Unfortunately, he does have height advantage. Whew, 2. The Vikings have 4 defense. Yes. And that concludes that turn, which is going to go to my number 4, which will be Solon, and he has a move of 5. Right there. So I think I'm going to move him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to move him over here. He's adjacent to this cart because he's moving towards Severus to heal him. But since he's there, why not see if there's some goodies in the cart for him? And there's not. He rolled a 2. And that will take us to number 4, which is Tor Kolna, and he gets to activate. Let's see what the Hive has commanded his movements to be. So at this point, we are going to roll rolled a 15, and here on my chart it is sweep. He is tactically sweeping. That creature is very upset. So let's roll a 20-sider, and we rolled a 20. So the sweep movement, roll a 20-sider. Let's see on this chart. As you can see on this chart right here, this is the forward facing of the model, and this is in the direction in which he's going to move his speed. So as you can see, this area. So that's going to be this area this way. He's going to be moving. And he has a movement of 6. So he's going to move. Can't go through the tree. He can't make it around that way. He's got to, but he can pass through the friendly area. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And he can't stop there. Well, hold on. These trees aren't where they're supposed to be either. This is occupied. 5. So he's going to have to stop here. 6. Okay. Here's the problem. He's adjacent to that archer. So, roll a 20-sided die. If you roll 1 through 7, the figure is safe and Torquenall's movement ends. If you roll an 8 through 20, the chosen figure receives 1 wound. This is going to get ugly real quick. A 10. He receives a wound. My archer is dead. Which means he moves up to this space. And he rolls again. And he rolls a 4. Well, his movement has ended. His movement. Now he gets to attack. And he's going to attack for him with an attack of 6. This is going to be a bloodbath. Okay, 3. They have a defense of 2. Now, I'm just going to roll these for the sake of the game, but really there is absolutely no point. His defense is not that high. He is just killed. Right there. His small, pitiful attempt of defending himself is, yeah. it just didn't work out. He's done. He's just dead and off the board. And that's my squad wiped out right there. And I think at this point, this is where I'm going to leave the video off right here. Oops, sorry about the finger again, guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's Heroscape Solo. It's such an awesome game. As you can see, the rule system that it gives you and the AI moving these things through the game board really does work well. It works really well, and you know, this will give you hours of enjoyment. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up or click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified. To get notified of my recent uploads. Alright, folks, this is Artichoke Dip signing off. Talk to you guys later.